Fuck was for centuries one of the most taboo words in the English language. In recent years, it's become almost commonplace. This film is its elegy. We come not to praise the F word, but to bury it.
Graham Chapman, co-author of the parrot sketch, is no more. He has ceased to be. Bereft of life, he rests in peace. I could hear him whispering in my ear last night as I was writing this, all right. All right, please, he was saying, you're very proud of being the very first person ever to say shit on British television. If this service is really for me, just for starters, I want you to become the first person ever at a British memorial service to say fuck.
Urusei, Japan.
Fick dich, Germany.
Huaresier, Switzerland.
Vaffanculo, Italy.
Jodete, Argentina.
Skrid helvedes til, Denmark.
Gojo, South Korea. Joder, Spain.
Vechtisden, Israel.
Most languages have coined their own lesser-known equivalents, but the English four-letter word has carried all before it as the world's best-known expletive, our gift to the planet. So successful an export is it that to the French we are known as les fuck-offs. For most of its career, the F word was far too shocking to be written down, and so the history books don't tell us precisely when or how it first arrived on our shores.
Well, people do tend to talk about fuck and its little gang of four-letter friends as Anglo-Saxon words, but there's really no evidence that the Anglo-Saxons knew it and used it at all. Maybe they did, but there's certainly no record of it from the Old English period. But it is fairly clearly a Germanic word, and there are a number of what are fairly obviously related terms in other Germanic languages. These verbs started out meaning literally to hit, and by some sort of metaphorical extension have come to mean copulate, rather like modern English bang and bonk.
It does sound like fucking. It sounds like things being conjoined. It sounds percussive to me. It sounds like blows. It seems to me like quite frenzied copulation.
There's an isolated instance of a name from the late 13th century, someone called John Le Fucker. And it's not actually known for certain how he got his nickname, but I think we can probably fill in the blanks well enough.
Printing allowed the F word to be mass-produced. Its first outing came in 1503 in a Scots poem by William Dunbar. At last our poets had a racier rhyme for chuck it. In 1598 it was considered respectable enough to appear in a dictionary, and soberly takes its place in learned tomes right up until 1755, when Dr. Johnson stopped it in its tracks. When a female admirer congratulated him for excluding it from his celebrated dictionary, Johnson replied, "So you've been looking for it, ma'am."
It's pretty clear Johnson knew the word, because his friend David Garrick is on record as saying that he asked Johnson what was the greatest pleasure in life, and Johnson repeatedly replied, fucking. So there's no doubt that he was aware of the word, but he clearly viewed it as a low term, not worthy of being included in his dictionary, and it's not there, and the Victorians certainly showed no signs of wanting to revive it.
The new bourgeoisie found the F word so little to its taste that it began to deny ownership of this alarming word altogether, associating it exclusively with the lower social orders, the great unwashed, and uneducated. Just occasionally, though, the F word did get ideas above its station. In 1882, a saboteur at the Times smuggled the F word into a parliamentary report of a speech by Sir William Harcourt, the Attorney General. He tells the House, "Why? If a tenant farmer is elected for the North Riding of Yorkshire, the farmers will be a political power who will have to be reckoned with. The Speaker then said he felt inclined for a bit of fucking. The editor of the Times was so stunned, it took him 4 days to pluck up the courage to issue an apology. A decade later, the editors of a dictionary of slang had to threaten a lawsuit in order to persuade their printer to spell out the F word in full, even though the work was available by subscription only. Inquiring minds found many racy derivatives of the F word. Some have sadly fallen out of use. Fuckish, for example, fuckster and fuckstress. But the F word was beginning to get tired of meaning only sex. The First World War gave it the perfect opportunity to try out its more popular role as an expletive. The great British pastime of effing and blinding began in earnest.
It is said that the sort of melting pot aspect of World War I, people of different backgrounds and classes all mixing together in the trenches and so on, familiarised those who had never heard the word before with it and permitted the wider use of it.
The F word was the only weapon with which the poor bloody infantry could express its frustration and fear. It was beginning to multiply.
The sort of imaginative flowering of fuck, if you like, with verbs like fuck off and fuck around and fuck up, they tend to be more post-World War I.
In the 1920s, the F word was put firmly back in its place, below stairs with the lower social orders. Amongst their betters, its utterance was most definitely not the done thing.
In polite society, and this is obviously not just about different classes, because generally speaking, people who wanted to be accepted as respectable didn't use the word under any circumstances.
It wasn't really until the war, and people were very het up, that I started to hear it more freely. And the kind of people who would say fuck would be Battle of Britain pilots who were very worked up and frightfully tense because they're going on ops next day or had just been on ops, and were obviously very, very hyped up the whole time.
There were only a few, and of that few many did not return. But wreckage that scattered the shores and fields of southern England told its own story of the glory that they had won. The Luftwaffe had been smashed.
My husband came back from the war and he said that the men's vocabulary was entirely fuck and bloody and shit and bugger, and he said they only seem to know those 4 words and everything is that. And what a pity it is they haven't got a larger vocabulary. And I think it was sort of working class swearing which has spread upwards. And the war freed the language to a great extent because there was such a mix-up of people in the war. And I think that's how fuck got liberated.
A key scene in the wartime drama Hope and Glory powerfully evokes a period in which the F word was still a major taboo.
Do you want to join our gang? Don't mind. Do you know any swear words? Yes. Say them. Go on. Say them. You can't join if you can't swear. I only know one. We'll say that one then. Go on. Fuck. That word is special. That word is only used for something really important. Now repeat after me. Bugger off. Bugger off. Sod. Sod. Bloody. Bloody. Now put them all together. Bugger off, you bloody sod. Bugger off, you bloody sod. Okay, you're in. Yeah. Let's smash things up.